Hey there friends, how have things been going? Here we are again, welcoming the new year, and you know what that means. This is a time of hope for the future, but perhaps most importantly, a time to reflect on the past year. Why am I telling you this? Why are we here? Well, because YouTube algorithm favors trends more than creativity or contents, and since I have some content-heavy videos I'm working on at the moment that leave me with nothing to submit in the month of January but a top 5 video, I'm making a top 5 video. Now it's just cats and unboxing videos, and I should be a real YouTuber indeed. Alright, let's go. First of all, some ground rules. First point. This is a top 5 of the best games I played in 2019. Played and completed, meaning if I had finally got around completing Norfair and Metroid this year, which I have not, that title would be legible to appear on this list. Second point. Oi, revolutionary concept incoming. Listen up, internet. This top 5 is based purely on my subjective tastes and opinions. You are free and encouraged to discuss it or make your own down in the comments below, but at the end of the day, we are talking about video games and subjective enjoyment, so keep that in mind. And so, with no further ado, roll number 5. Become human. Okay, let me start with this. This game has one of the best openings I have ever seen. Hooks you right away. Stakes are real from the first frame, dog. It seriously leaves one heck of a first impression. You earn yourself a spot in the Hall of Fame for excellent beginnings, Detroit. Be proud of yourself. But at the end of the game, haha, clever pun, someone had to fill the 5th spot on the list. No shame in that. In 2019 we had some real heavy hitters, a plethora of great games, and even though I haven't played most of them, to have made it this far up into the list means I really like this game. And I really did. I haven't played many games from Quantic Dream, namely just Heavy Rain and 15 minutes of Beyond Two Souls at the Media World once. But I've heard this is their best work yet, and I don't find it hard to believe. The thing I really loved about this game was its novelty. Again, I haven't played many Quantic Dream games or any other games of the same nature either, but how many games can you think of where failure doesn't correspond to a game over? Where the story keeps on going even if you fail, even if you die? I love tabletop RPG, D&D and the like, and this game's story and narrative especially reminded me of the experience of failing at the table. You fail, but the story advances nevertheless, and you gotta accept and face the consequences of your failure. It is a powerful experience, and critical fails are often more memorable than epic successes. And Detroit doesn't really pull his punches either way. I'm not going to spoil the story, also because it'll be pointless. The choices you make truly influence the story and the overall experience of the game in such a branching fashion that two players' experiences might start the same, sure, but quickly spiral into very different stories. But what about its gameplay? Is this game fun to play? Most of the enjoyment the game offers comes from the story and your influence on it, but there is a good enough variety of scenarios and gameplay, stealth sections, exploration sections, puzzle sections, dating sim sections, and also action-heavy sections. QuickTime events here are everywhere. But before you roll your eyes, hear me out. I was born and raised a PC gamer. I am shit at this thing over here, but I didn't mind the QuickTime events nearly as much as I thought I would. Most of them are rather vapid and inconsequential, but they do offer people like me some time to familiarize with this hellspawn of an input device here, and you better know it front to back, cause when it comes to action sequences, the QuickTime events become ruthless. You press circle instead of X and you watch your character die. No sugarcoating whatsoever, and believe me, I failed a lot, and I loved every failure I made, because they let you know the results are yours and yours alone. You die, you deserved it. You succeed, you earned it. Game's harsh, but fair. Let me touch on the story just once more before we move on to the next game. I have a soft spot for stories about androids becoming human. They all share the same themes and overall structure, so it's hard to make them feel unique or distinct. This game does a fine job, however. Everything you'd expect is here, but being a video game, it is far more immersive than a book or a movie, and having three main characters with their own stories, their own themes, their own feel, their own gameplay aspects really makes Detroit its own thing. But not everything is stellar about this story in this game. Some things are poorly or naively written, some gameplay sections are way less interesting than others, and despite the insane level of branching this story presents, the first beats are naturally not that different despite your actions, making the first sections not that replayable or fun after the first run. Nevertheless, this is one of the best games I've played in 2019. I loved it! Connor might be one of my favorite characters ever, and the interactive menu that reacts to your choices and results in game is the icing on a very juicy and very satisfying cake. Good job, Quantic Dream! Good job, Detroit! You earned your spot. Now on to number 4. It is Super Freaking Smash! Oh my god, Bros Ultimate, baby! Oh my, so much to talk about this game. First of all, it is really the ultimate entry in a series of games I've been loving since Melee. This game is a masterpiece of raw video game fun. It somehow manages to give the perfect player experience, no matter the player type. Casual gamers will find it buckload of fun. Hardcore competitive gamers will be challenged like never before. Lone gamers playing a couple of few matches solo under the sheets before going to sleep will be kept awake until the sunrise without realizing it. Drunk party of gamers will share memorable nights of playing together, if the booze allow it, that is. These experiences are core to video games, and Super Smash Ultimate offers them into one complete and still updating, still growing package. This game is miraculous. Its love for the media and its history, and its love for gamers young and old, truly makes it a milestone for me. And it is such a crowd pleaser. Such a crowd pleaser, it's insane! Ridley, K. Rool, Banjo-Kazooie and everybody else! In an industry that is becoming ever more greedy, these are true acts of love for the players and cannot be underestimated. This pick was the hardest to place for me. It has fluctuated to every other spot, as in my eyes it's the most solid and close to perfection of the bunch. But alas, personal tastes and enjoyment is one subjective and moody beast. So let's move on to number 3. Wait, they put Sans in Smash? Sans is in? Sans in Smash? Oh my god! That's it! First place, best game ever, end of video! Marvel Spider-Man for PS4 had no right to be as good as it is. It had no need to be as good as it is, and I love it for this. Let's be honest, nostalgia aside, the bar for becoming the best Spider-Man video game wasn't set that high, but let me tell you, now it is. Yeah, this game is far from perfect, and it being so far up in the list is mostly due to my love for the webhead, but I still think people underpraised this fantastic game. This version of the character has become one of my favorites, and that goes not only for Spider-Man, but for Doc Ock, MJ too. This story is a phenomenal Spider-Man story. It gets every point right, it gets every character right, and that shows how much care and love was put behind the development of this title. You know what else shows how much the people at Insomniac cared? Every small detail, every easter egg, every callback to the character history, every collectible, every foreshadowing moment, every hilarious message on the game fake Twitter, every secondary mission being different from the last. There's an insane level of care, love and understanding of the source material. And that is a precious and commendable thing. And beside that, this game is fun. It's a really great and engaging game. I mean, I loved it and I played it so much that I went platinum with it. So that is why this title is third on my list. And that is why I can't wait for more Spider-Man from Insomniac. Time for number 2, let's go! Persona 5 is at my number 2 spot on the list. It took me 6 months to finish this game, so it's safe to say this title defined 2019 for me. I won't spend too much on this game because I decided long ago this game deserved a whole video dedicated to it. But anyway, to summarize my opinion on this game, Persona 5 is far from being a masterpiece, not even close. At times, it looks and feels very amateurish even. There's a continuous and jarring contrast throughout the whole game between those aspects of it that were more than good, spectacular, and those other aspects that were baffling bad. Its style, aesthetic, combat system, story and characters were all superb and truly made the game shine. But on the other hand, its less than unimpressive graphics, constant hand-holding, repetitiveness, unskippableness, unintuitiveness, that darn cat always telling me when to go to sleep like I'm 7 again, all these other aspects renders the game a bit frustrating, yes. Definitely the most frustrating game experience of 2019 for me. So at the very least, you're number 1 in that category. But nevertheless, the game and its story, and its characters especially, resonated with me like few other games managed to do. And despite the fact that I continuously flipped between loving it and hating it, it earned its place in second position. It earned a very particular place in my heart and an upcoming video dedicated to it. So well done, Persona 5, but I'm not done with you. And so, with just the coveted first spot left on our list, I believe we all know what time it is. It's time, guys, for honorable mentions. Roll them up, Fischietto! First of all, and most important for me, Deltarune. I say most important cause if this was a list of my favorite video games, period, Undertale would sit triumphantly on the number 1 spot. Undertale is a wonderful gem that means a whole lot to me personally, and playing it had me out of one of the saddest and darkest periods of my life. Yes, I might be biased, but to me personally, this silly indie game is the closest a gaming experience ever got to perfection. So why reiterate on perfection? I was very skeptical and rather unwelcoming when I first heard of Deltarune. But despite the fact that this 5-ish hours long, charming and fun teaser demo is rendered completely shielded from any criticism by way of being completely free, once completed I still spent weeks uncertain whether I loved it or hated it. So where has my opinion landed in the end? Does this spiritual successor share the same soul of his predecessor, or is it even better? Was it necessary or worth making? Here's what I have to say on this game that, remind you all, is still only a teaser of what's to come. It managed to make something I thought impossible. It turned me from completely opposed to any sort of sequel to Undertale, although admittedly it is very similar to what I had envisioned for a possible sequel game, to insanely curious. And I can't wait to play more. Talking of spiritual successors, this year I found myself periodically coming back to Jurassic World Evolution. This game finally filled the void games I played all the time when I was little left. This spiritual successor to Operation Genesis is still a bit lacking in some key areas for me, but it is a ton of fun and the fix of theme park tycoon management game I so desperately needed. The many DLCs add even more dinosaurs and content, though they can get fairly expensive, and the base game is still being updated for free, so despite the fact that I feel the answers to the age-old question, what's the better game between Evolution and Operation Genesis is still up to subjectivity. This game made me have lots of good times, and keep an eye on Frontier. Here's to the possibility of seeing your newest game and spiritual successor on the list next year, seeing how the actual sequel to Zoo Tycoon 2 freaking sucks! Beginner's Guide was a total surprise for me, but it shouldn't have. This game was made from the same studio that brought us one of the most interesting and novel gaming experiences ever, that being the Stanley Parable. This quote-unquote game is everything but, for artsy as it sounds, this really is an experience. It is getting to know a person through the amateurish little game projects they worked on for fun in their free time. I won't say any more than that. You may very well not like this experience, it may not resonate with you in the slightest, but you should totally check it out regardless. This studio has managed, twice now, to push the boundaries of what a video game can be, and by the end of it, I found myself in such rare emotional disarray. Playing this game is a far more powerful experience than you could anticipate. Please give it a try. And last, but certainly not least honorable mention, goes to two big hits of 2019, the new Pokemon titles and Death Stranding. These two titles are some of the most interesting and discussed release of the recent years, both marking a new beginning for their developers, and both deserving of their own dedicated videos. But anyway, to me these two titles are especially interesting, seeing how one of them kept my frustration growing all the way till it released, but then while playing, it positively surprised and intrigued me, while the other surprised and intrigued me all the way till it released, only to then continuously frustrating me when it came to actually playing. And despite the fact that I doubt they will, here's to hoping they both make their way in next year's top 5. But it is now time. Number 1 spot for the best game played in 2019 goes to Hollow Knight. 110 hours and 15 minutes. That is how long it took me to complete my first run of Hollow Knight, and I have enjoyed every second of it. Well, that's a lie. Hollow Knight might just be one of my favorite games of all time. But what is this game? Basically, imagine if Metroid and Dark Souls had a baby and for some reason it was a bug. If you're a fan of either series, this is absolutely a must-play. Let's go through things in order. Hollow Knight is one of the best Metroidvanias I've ever played. Might I dare say the very best? Exploration is the word here. I've completed this game at 108%, and there's still secrets to find hidden in this immense and beautiful kingdom of bugs. Every new room is a new surprise, every area looks and feels and plays unique. Every nook beckons you to explore it and uncover the kingdom's many secrets. On your way deep underground, you will constantly find new foes, new NPCs, new skills for traversal and combat that will open the paths of exploration even more. And talking about combat, this game has bosses. Sweet lord, it has bosses, and they don't play around, trust me. Out of the 110 hours I spent completing this game, a good 45 of them I spent fighting Zote. Freaking Zote. With more than half the bosses being optional or secret, the game encourages you to explore even more if you wanna hunt them down. Even more still if you want to upgrade your little bug and stand a chance. These game challenges are hard, believe me, but it always rewards you in the most amazing of ways. And of course, what Metroidvania/Souls-like hybrid would this be without a rich and complex lore for you to explore and discover, just like you explore the game world. The story takes some inspiration from the Souls series, first Dark Souls especially, but puts its own spin on it and manages to be deeper and more unique than you might suspect. And lastly, but definitely most importantly for me especially, do I even need to say this? This game looks gorgeous. Every entry in this list is a solid 10 out of 10 when it comes to style and aesthetic, soundtrack too, but Hollow Knight just knocks it out of the park for me. I love its style so much, I love its soundtrack so much, I love this game so much. To me, this is not only the best game I played in 2019, but one of the best games I've ever played. Go check it out now, especially with an upcoming sequel on its way. And that was it for me in 2019. But man, this topic does not end here, cause you guys have the most important of jobs ahead of you. I want you all to discuss my entries in this list, with respect mind you, and provide your very own top 5 down in the comments below. I will be reading every comment with the utmost interest, and who knows, might even do a video dedicated to your picks, guys. Until then, I shall see you all, amazing people, next time.